Hi everybody, it's Juniper Blue Mystique here. Excuse me, got a little nervous. Give me a second, get a little water. I'm coming on with my second installment of missing persons cases, bringing light into the darkness. The first one I did was on Brian Schaefer, and as I was doing his, it was brought forth to my attention that the purpose is for ascension. So these are karmic related things, and that's why these two are coming up first for me the most. So I'm a master psychic healer, master healer, I'm a master. A major part of the ascension process. And we've all been going through a lot and having a lot of changes at hand. Part of this installment for my series is due to the fact that these need to be cleansed. It's just time for them to be cleansed. It's time for healing to occur. Okay? Not only are we ascending on this side, we're ascending on the other. And what is ascension? Rising in consciousness. So as it occurs, these things really do, excuse me, need to be brought forth. I do have two people here with me today. So this is going to be covering the case of the beautiful Jon Benet Ramsey. Forgot to mention, now that I'm putting it all together and editing for the video for Jon Benet Ramsey, that I was looking for photos of her online, and I was looking for any kind of photo that didn't have makeup on her or make her look like she was a trophy child, and I couldn't find that. And so the two that I included in this video were the closest I could find to helping her look like the little girl that I see. So enjoy. Jonbenet Patricia Ramsey. Now I say her whole name because we're going to discuss her name. And then also her mother is stepping forward, Patsy Ramsey. And yes, I do see unity on the other side between the two of them. There has been forgiveness, and they do want me to say that. So when they stepped forward, it was like they embraced. And to me, first it was Jonbenet, and she would have been 31 years old this year. Her birthday would have been on August 6th. So happy late birthday to the beautiful Jonbenet. She passed away. She was brutally murdered in Boulder, Colorado in the year of 1996 on Christmas Day, December 25th. She was 6 years old when she was killed. Today I'm going to go over with you what they want me to bring forth. It is going to cover the name of the person that killed her. Last name was not given to me. I don't think it's necessary. These will cause these things to rise. Okay, that's what Spirit tells me. This is a purpose of clearing the karma. Okay, so at the very least, that's what they're for. I'm gonna tell you what I was given. I cannot do you justice if I don't. And I am a master healer. I get things in weird ways, and whatever is brought forth is purposeful. For whatever reason, is to remain to be seen, right? But the main one is karmic cleanse. She steps forward full grown on the other side, Jonbenet. So she has grown. She has come to a place of peace and understanding as well. Because what I will tell you before I go too far in is that it took her a long time to understand what happened. And that is what she is saying. It took her a long time to go through a review and to understand what happened. Because she was little. And she was snuffed out before what was supposed to be her time. And so that's being brought forth as well. So when she did pass, she had a lot to process in her little bit of time. And it was a lot to look at. And it took her a minute to understand what happened. And we'll get into why. And she says that, okay? So let's backtrack a little bit. The beautiful Jon Benet Ramsey. Hopefully I can fill in a picture around here somewhere of her during the video. She was a beauty queen at 6 years old, unfortunately. She was modeled and paraded. I'll say that. You know, that's how she feels about it. That's her words. Modeled and paraded. Modeled and paraded. She was a tool for them to live vicariously through. And that's what she's telling me. So I'm just going into, because she's right here with me. But, you know, at the time, she thought it was very special. It's like a little girl's dream in a way, to her. And of course, she was conditioned this way. And so she thought this was no holds bar, the dream of the dream at the time. She didn't get to play a lot, is what I see. Like, the standards on these kids were a little high. And Patsy is reiterating that one. And she had some things to say as well. So she is stepping forward too. And Osriel is also stepping forward. Osriel, sorry, forgive me. I'm a little different in these deliveries. I've got to do what they put forth. Why not? He is an angel of death, also an angel of rebirth, right? And so this is a death to what needs to be put to bed. And a rebirth to light and beauty and life. Okay. So, she was born August 6, 1990, I believe in Boulder, Colorado. I live in Colorado, so not too far from where I am. I remember hearing about her like crazy when this went down. I was pretty young myself, but I was old enough to remember it all. I think I was like 9 or 10 when she was born. So that gives you a little insight into that. Yeah, something like that. Anywho, she lived a very short, vicarious, exciting, adventure-filled life for 6 short years until December 25th, 1996, when her life was snuffed out. And the story goes that I believe they woke up. Like, I think the story went. I don't watch these things well versed. I do channelings and that part of it. But what I have picked up from the years, from what I remember, is like somehow they woke up and they couldn't find her, I think is what it was. Watch another story if you need to. But she ended up being like missing, quote unquote missing, according to her parents and her family. And you know, everything went down, and there was something to do with like a bowl of peaches on the counter. That's what I'm seeing. I don't exactly remember the reference to that, but that was part of the story. Like, there was something about a bowl of peaches, so look it up, which is significant. I don't know why, but my stomach hurts when they talk about that. Okay, so this is why it's significant. This is why it's significant. So what Jonbenet is telling me, and Patsy as well, by the way. Patsy is like spilling the beans here. She's like, what do they call it when you go into church and you tell all your truths? She's trying to do that. But so I feel like this is what I'm being shown. And so I'm going to bring it forth. These make me nervous because it's a lot. And I don't know if they did a toxicology on Jonbenet when she was killed. I would like to know if they did. And I would like to see the true results. However, what she tells me, and I guess this goes with the peaches, this is significant with the peaches, is that she was poisoned. Or drugged, right? Drugged. But poisoned because it is technically, right? It's not exactly supposed to be in your body. But she was drugged. And that's what I'm hearing. And I feel like that's significant with a bowl of peaches or something like that. I kind of vaguely remember something about that. I don't know. But that's what's coming through. So she was drugged, and that's a part of the reason why when she passed over, it took her a longer time to know what was going on and process what happened. And that is the case. It's like, because when you go out drugged, you're not aware, right? Physically detached. And it takes a minute to process, especially when you're snuffed out. Okay? As a healer, I release in different ways. One of them is burping, so forgive me if I do that. I'm obviously releasing some things with telling the truth here, because this is about karmic release, which I am very good at shadow work. So it kind of goes hand in hand, and it makes sense to me. But so what I do is I channel what they want me to tell, also a medium, and when they've passed over, I know for sure because they're with me. And like I said, Jon Benet is right behind me, but so is Patsy. Before I go any further, she's like my name. Okay, so we're going to talk about her name. So she was born into a family of Patsy Ramsey, right? And Jon Benet or Benay, I'm not sure how you say his name because it's spelled Bennett. And I'm, don't do foreign languages well at all. So his name was like Jon Benet and Patricia Ramsey. And they had, I think he had kids separate and they came together and had kids together, one of them being Burke, I believe, which is her older brother, which he ties into this as well. He is an issue, but not in the way people think. And Patricia wants me to bring that forward. So that's her asking for forgiveness, basically. But kind of clearing karma, right? So we can be honest to clear karma, and you can come out in a big way to be honest to clear karma. That is one way. Just going right down to the core, like, look what I did. And that helps clear karma. But anyways, pay attention to her name. So when I started bringing it through, what they wanted me to bring through, the first thing I noticed, which I've never really done before, I think somebody mentioned it to me before, and I'm like, yeah, that's weird. But I could have cared less. But this is coming through from Jonbenet, and from the issue of really why she was born, what she was thought of, how she was used, those kinds of things. Okay, so both of her parents were narcissists, all right, and that's what they're telling me. Both of them narcissists. More Jon than Patsy, she's saying. Patsy. He was an extreme narcissist and still is. Still, he's not going to let that go. I feel like his ego swallowed him whole, and that's kind of what they're showing me. It's like this big blob, and it ended up swallowing him whole. And it didn't for Patricia, and that's why she exited. However, Jon Benet, Patsy Ramsey is her name. Jon Benet, Patsy Ramsey. They literally took both parents' names and just put them together for this little girl. She's half of my beauty, she's half of your beauty, and we're going to show this off. This is our pride, but not in a healthy way. Not I'm holding my baby up like in The Lion King going, hi, Avea. No, this is more like I'm going to live vicariously through this little girl because look at her, and this is me and this is her. So it's almost like stealing, the way I can say this is it's like stealing Jonbenet's light, who she was, and making it solely about Jon and Patsy Ramsey. And Patricia is solidifying this message. She is absolutely downright saying, yep, pretty much. And so, yeah, I do get messages weird, which is why these videos were hard for me to do. But we're rolling with it because that's what we do. That's what I do. I've learned not to question what comes through for me, because if I do, what happens? I get sick. Okay, so welcome to my world of a master healer. So anyways, Jon Benet, Patricia Ramsey, Jon Benet, Patsy Ramsey, two halves divided from a whole. So that's really kind of how you can look at her life. She was just two halves of them, not her own person. Does that, how do you describe that? And that is essentially the narcissist coming together and having a baby, where money, prestige was at the realm of everything in this household, right? It's like June Cleaver to the T. And Patsy wants to say she was well aware. She's admitting she was well aware. I was well aware. I turned a blind eye, and we will go into the message she put through, because what do? I tell you guys, I kind of go crazy. I'm like, all this is coming through. Now this time I sat down to do it a little different than the last time. I actually called on Jonbenet. Patsy showed up on her own. And I set up my energy, and I went in much like I would do for a mediumship session as well. So this one's a little bit more, I wanted it to be a little bit more in depth, and me not as nervous about the situation. And that's the reality of it. So I'm hoping that is coming off in this video and doing Jonbenet some justice. But this little girl wasn't born to be herself. She was born to be like a prized possession, almost like a person with a puppy dog in their purse, like an accessory to that was supposed to say how special Jon Benet was and Patsy Ramsey. And maybe I am saying his name wrong, but that's how I feel comfortable saying it. See, there's something releasing there. Their relationship is severed. Jonbenet with Jon Benet, it won't be healed, and I'm hearing that as well. Because I don't think he's going where we're going, and that's what I'm also hearing. However, did he kill her? No. Yes, but no, it wasn't his hands, okay? I think we're all well aware of that at this time, that it wasn't necessarily his hands that did it, and it wasn't necessarily her hands. However, so I'm going to give you what they show me now, and then I'll read to you from the board. So it might be repeating some of the same information. So this is what's going on. It started way before Burke and Jonbenet. I feel like this started with the father, and it started with his older kids as well. Okay, and that's why when this happened to Jonbenet, they went into a little bit of shock. They didn't know what to do about it, because it wasn't to be what was expected, obviously. Why would they want to kill their tool or their prized possession? And that's what she was. She wasn't a personality. She wasn't a human being to them. She very much so was one. She has a very beautiful soul. Jonbenet would have grown up to be one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen, and that's how I see her. She's presenting her hair like probably this length. It's almost my color, maybe a little lighter with highlights, right? That's kind of how I see it. Like she would have her hair all done, and of course she would still be that beauty queen, and I'm getting so much chills as I'm talking about her. And she would be 31 years old this year, so still very young. And she wanted to be a doctor. I don't know if that was known, but she wanted to be either that or a veterinarian. And it might have gone to the veterinarian, but it may have started out as a doctor. And that was her life plan. That was like her, I'm getting emotional, right? That was her life goals at that time, the time she was snuffed out. So her dream was not to be a beauty queen like they were parading her around to be. She always felt... She calls it dirty. She says she always felt dirty, as if she was a prostitute. And there's probably more reasons why. And when I channel, you guys, I draw arrows, and so I'm just going to show you that. That's what I do. And so if you see me doing that, I'm channeling. So what they would do, and this is kind of odd for me to explain, but I'm going to do it. Jon Benet very much so got into the crowd of the Epstein Island group. That's basically how they're saying it to me. It was similar to the Epstein Island behavior, so it was the same people. And so this is not to persuade anybody. This is not to anything. I am just telling you what is being told to me for the purpose of Jonbenet resting in peace and everybody going where they need to go. and it being brought to the surface. So that may happen as well due to this. So just pay attention to that. Anything that I do may eventually be brought to the surface. So just pay attention. I don't know. It's not necessarily a necessity. However, this was like related to like the Epstein Island stuff. Same kind of things. Okay. And Jon Benet was the one who initiated the family energy into that. And what they would do is they would let their kids be used. Okay, but in their minds, this is what Patsy said. So this is what Patsy said, and she really wants this reiterated because she did love these kids, and she wants that to be known. And some people are probably like, how could she have loved these kids? She was a mess. She was not innocent. She didn't feel like she was a murderer. She didn't want to be a murderer. Those were her babies. She did love Jonbenet in her twisted mind, right? She was a narcissist, just not as extreme as Jon Benet. But, I mean, look at Jonbenet's name. She was not meant to be a soul. She was a prized possession that was supposed to mirror how beautiful and how prestigious this family was. And that's it was like a trophy daughter, which is really sick. Instead of a trophy wife, Jonbenet was a trophy daughter. Okay, and she showed me that through a symbol, like a trophy. And what they would do with these kids is drug them. And so, different things. I think they would mix it up, and that way it wouldn't be, first of all, ineffective, to where if you kept giving them the same thing over and over, it's going to get to where it doesn't work as good. And in Patsy's mind, this was justified because Burke never remembered it. So Burke was also a victim. When he was 9, I think, is when it stopped with Burke. Because Patricia, right? Like Jonbenet, Patricia Ramsey, was the next one in line. And they were going to quit again, probably maybe a little older. But at a certain point, they were going to quit doing this, is what Patsy says. This is Patsy's version of events. But they would drug the kids, and the parents weren't aware, so the kids would be like taken away, and they would have their way with them. Who are they? We'll get into that in a moment. I feel like somebody's asking that. Who are they? They would have their way with them, and they would pay, or not even pay, because it's more like, okay, now you have your prestige, now you're well known in the community, you're well protected, we give you all you need, type of a thing. Let's sell your soul to the devil so you can have it. Sell your soul to the devil so you can have everything you want, because that's what it's all about, is money and prestige. And I can feel Patsy's angst with this. Like she's going through it. She is, and I'm getting chills as I say that. She is healing it for her, okay, and for Jonbenet. They came in together, mind you. So if they can learn to love each other, they're asking you guys to do the same. That's what Patricia wants. It is important for her, for people to see that she was a lost soul, but she did have light in there, and that's her way of saying it. But so Burke, because he wouldn't remember, like they would test this, just try to test him and things, like ask him questions, and he never seemed to remember any of it. And so they thought the same was going to be the same for Jonbenet. They never imagined it was going to go down the way that it did. But she was their trophy daughter, and they were proud. Jonbenet was more proud, Patricia says, but proud, like, you want my daughter? Like, you think she's beautiful? This one wants to pay me $1 million? You can have my daughter. And I just don't want to know what you did, but you can do anything you want to her. And thank you for liking my little girl, because that's me. That is what I'm seeing, was one of his conversations, basically, pretty much. And that's what happened to her. And so the night in question, it was like a Christmas gift for the person, which is really disgusting, because this is the little kid on Christmas. And when that came up, I wanted to throw up. I'm like, I really got to say that. But that is true. On Christmas, this little girl was a gift for somebody else to have their way, to be filled with the pleasure of having her face in theirs. But I feel like the person that did it got definitely into, he was not a right. I feel like this person was possibly the first time with this little girl. I'm not sure, maybe second time, but he wasn't a frequent flyer. Isn't that disgusting? And this is coming through what I'm hearing. He wasn't a frequent flyer, a frequent molester, a frequent abuser for this little girl. But he was a powerful person, and so it was almost like she'd worked the way. I don't like to talk about this. This is bothering me, and it's bothering me. Like my stomach is turning, and I don't really like talking about this. Sorry, forgive me. It's not about me. I couldn't have imagined living through this. Okay, like these kids did. She'd worked her way up the ranks, I guess you could say, by being beautiful, by making it through the others and not telling on them, so to speak, because she didn't remember. So successful grooming occurred and made her way up the ranks to this gentleman. So it may have been a second time with her, and I'm sorry, forgive me for the details I'm giving you. There's a reason this is coming out, okay? And then I hear like Epstein Island related. So all of these people were related with that group, with that same tie, the tie of what is talked about, right? The group that people talk about that kind of run the show, right? Not a good one. And that is who it was related to. But in the test, I'm going to write down everything now that they had told me because I did a little different. So the person that did it to her was obviously not blood related, okay? But they knew him. Here's the key. This is going to tell you who it is. For whatever reason, because it's like bolded out with 2 arrows. But it said not blood, okay? It was Uncle Ted. Something to do, so the mayor and the sheriff, something to do with brothers. I don't know if that means the mayor and the sheriff were brothers. I don't know. I'm just going to show you, like, when this was channeled, you write it down, and it's if it doesn't matter, the connection, it doesn't matter. I just give it out how it's meant to be given. But it was Uncle Ted that did it. And he was not blood, and he got very carried away. He really liked this little girl. And that's kind of the way I see it, and it's disgusting, and I don't like it. But as he was like in the heat of the moment, he got carried away. And it was just like, it makes me want to throw up, because they used the word passion for this guy. Like while he was doing it, he got passionate about it. And that's how he started like getting really rough with this little girl. Sorry. This is a lot. Forgive me. I'm seeing her being murdered as I'm discussing this to you. And what happened to her is disgusting. And then it said dad sold his kids for his wealth. Okay. The brother was abused as well. At least one of them. I feel like this has gone on in the past before, but it got worse into this time frame. And then again it said Epstein Island related. Drugged her, okay? She was also strangled, because I see that. Not the first time, right? Like, these are not the first time that they have done this to this little girl. She had worked her way up in the ranks. She was usually drugged, and so she never really remembered it, but subconsciously she did, because she would tell me she always felt like dirty. She always felt like she needed a bubble bath. And the pageants didn't make her feel very good either. But she did them with a smile because that's what everybody wanted her to do. And then it said mom knew but turned head to it because she was drugged and she figured she wouldn't remember. And then I got to tell you this also, and because it's what came through. So when it said she was strangled, not the first time, then there was like a ball and a gag in her mouth. So they put like almost like an S&M thing, like a ball, and then like this thing. Like the gag, so like she couldn't talk. It makes me want to throw up at the top. Sorry, it's gross. This is why I had a hard time doing these. Forgive me. Okay, and then so the other thing I wrote is, so I basically told you all about this because I did it a different way, which is kind of cool. But, mom and dad were money hungry. Dad especially, right? Mom was jealous. So Patsy Ramsey is admitting that she was jealous of this little girl. Because she was just beautiful. She got all the attention. Everybody wanted her. And Patsy was not getting anything. And you can say it, like sex-wise or anything. Like Patricia was not getting any love from anybody, she felt like. And this little girl was getting it all. And that's disgusting, isn't it? And so that's also why she allowed this to occur. Loved her, but chose to let it go like she did with Burke, due to no memory of it afterwards from being drugged. Stop around 9-ish. And so, as the kids got older, they would stop. They really liked them younger, or at least to where it was safer and they wouldn't be able to recollect as easy. And that was really their goal. But they would also do things to their souls when they would have them under, sodomizing them and doing the things that they would do to these kiddos. And they would just do things like ritualistic type things, which me as a healer, I don't do ritualistic things, you guys. I don't. I feel like that's a whole other side of things. There's certain things like cleansing our energy, grounding. Those are kind of ritualistic. But what I mean is, like, I don't deal in voodoo black magic. And that's kind of what this looked like as well, was like some black magic stuff going on. Because I feel like what I'm seeing is with Jonbenet, there was one time she was sitting around like this, almost like this rock circle thing. And I see flowers around too. Like, they really did view her as their object. But one that they would kind of almost give to the gods. And so it was like lay her out in a prestigious way and then have their way with them. I'm sorry, I have to give you what's coming through. And that's what they would do. And it was part of like the ritualistic thing. So in their mind, they're giving it over to like their God, which is not our God. It's not our God. But it's their God. And that's like a sacrificial lamb. But they view it as they get to enjoy this sacrificial lamb. But with this one, they took it too far. So it wasn't technically an accident that she was snuffed out. Not necessarily that he got a little rough with her. He intended to do that. He just didn't mean to leave any marks here. He didn't mean to take it too far. And in that passionate, disgusting moment, I feel like it was a couple things that killed her. I feel like she didn't have oxygen to her mouth, as well as the beating. But she didn't have oxygen. And that's what really started snuffing her out. The person was not taking regard for her life at all. So either way, she was going out, right? Because this person was way too... All I can tell you is it's Uncle Ted. He's related to the mayor and the sheriff. And this is how nobody ever found out who the hell it was. Why do you think that investigation was so botched? Why do you think everything just never finally made sense? All of these things kind of tie in, and they're even pointing to the person that falsely testified. Like, I feel like they tried to utilize that, and it just didn't work out. But, before today, I don't think you would have ever found out who it was. But it is a necessity to do so at this point. And so the name is Ted, and the kids called him Uncle Ted, even though he was not blood. And so Dad was around him quite often. I feel like they would have hangouts, like in the study in the house, and the kids were not allowed to go in there. But that was when they were doing like negotiations of who was going to get the kid next, or what was coming next with what kid, or whatever was going to go down next for this group. But Ted was like one of the leaders, of the Epstein Island thing, for Boulder, Colorado. Because I feel like they have chapters, and so whatever that means, he was like a leader in this chapter. Take that for what it's worth. All I can tell you is my heart aches for this little girl. The things that happened afterwards was an attempt to throw people off in many different ways, okay? And hence the note, hints which Patsy did know about. She did partake in. I feel like they both did a little bit, and I feel like that was the difference. I feel like there might be chunks of handwriting that were different. If that was the case, I can't remember. But I feel like more than one person wrote that note. But I feel like she did take a part. So she's showing me she wrote like the middle part of it. But out of duress, right? Like they said she had to do it. She didn't want to do that, but she had to do it. It was all part of the cover-up, and they promised they were going to be okay. And so when you would see those news conferences and Patsy's showing me she would be like really sad, wishing it could be resolved, she really was. She just knew it couldn't be. She knew it was bigger than that. She knew it was bigger than just finding an unknown murderer. She also knew of their innocence and guilt at the same time. But because they didn't physically kill their daughter, they felt they were innocent to a degree, which is also kind of like that narcissistic belief, right? And so generally speaking, that's what happened to this little girl. Ted, he is involved with the sheriffs and the mayor of Boulder, Colorado. I don't know if it is the mayor, I don't know, or if it is the sheriff or the brother of the sheriff, which was the mayor, because it says mayor and sheriff and brothers. I don't know. That's not for me to figure out. That's for everybody to see, I think, as it hits or something. People will know what that means, I'm sure. That's what Spirit says. People will know. But that's all I've been given. And I've helped process this little girl's life's path because that was disgusting. And now you can see why she had a long time processing what had happened to her. Much like Gannon Stout, this reminds me of him because he was drugged and his soul was lost. He couldn't transition right away. I actually helped him with that, which was really weird and a different story. But with Jonbenet, it took her a moment to realize she was dead and to leave her body. She was outside of her body, and that's what I see. And she kept trying to get back in. And this is what I see, and it's very tragic. But remember, she was also drugged, okay? And so it takes a while to reattach to what occurred and to be shown through the life review and things like that, and to kind of finally process that information, especially as a 6-year-old little girl. That was a lot of trauma for her. And she has forgiven her mother. I wouldn't say it's not what you think to forgive, right? I feel like their relationship isn't the same, but she doesn't hold any ill will, and the mother has now cleansed her part of this because she's admitting it. She owned up to it. She essentially wanted to die because she didn't feel like she deserved to live. And that's what she's telling me, Patsy. She didn't feel like she deserved to live, and so she brought the sickness. It's almost like she manifested it, right? She manifested it upon herself because she wanted to die. She didn't want to live anymore. She knew what the outcome was going to be in her lifetime, and that was not exposure of what had happened. They knew there was going to be things throwing it off. They always knew that they were going to be safe. And then also I'm seeing the corruptedness within the thing where they were exonerated. Different things occurred, and so there were some things going on there. Obviously the sheriff was involved, the mayor was involved, or the brother of the sheriff, something like that. Okay. Dirtiness must fall. Rest in peace, Jonbenet. I feel like she deserves a different name. But it is what it is. She's infamous for that name, and she hates it. She doesn't hate it. She's don't say I hate it. Okay, but it's not her, right? That was not given for an individual to have an individual personality or an individual soul. That name was derived from the parents to say this is half me and half her. This is us, not our daughter. This is us. When you look at her, you're looking at me and her. When they're wanting her, they're wanting me and her. And that's the way they looked at it. And so I really don't like the name. But I guess Spirit could care less, really. If she was alive, she would have changed it eventually. And that's what she's saying. But in the meantime, it doesn't matter now. She's infamous for it. So it's not like we can just change it. So rest in peace to the beautiful little Jon Benet Ramsey. May she ascend in beautiful light and harmony and love. next time. So much love to all of you. And it's not about judging this transmission. It's about letting it be and letting the purpose that they hold unfold. Until next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.